Welcome to Montgomery Today with Montgomery General Hospital. I'm Greg Ingram, your host, Mayor of Montgomery, and we have with us today a long-time city council member here in the city of Montgomery, Mr. Fred Lockhart. How are you doing this morning, Fred?
I'm just fine, Mayor.
Good. I would just like to have you to give us a background. I know we celebrated your 40 years or 40 plus years the other day, and I'd just like for you to give me a background or an overview of your tenure as Montgomery City Councilman starting back in 1972.
Quite some time.
Quite a while.
No, I came to Montgomery in 1967 and started school with Tech. Married a local girl, and other than the time I spent with Uncle Sam, I've been here ever since. I've been very fortunate. I've had good jobs, and I just like Montgomery. I like the people, and as you said, I've been on council for almost 46 years, and that's not all at one time, but anyway, I very much like my little town, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm thankful for the good Lord that He put me here.
So with your service in the military, you just about served the public your entire life and the country.
Pretty much, but
That's amazing.
that's just the way I've always been.
Well, that's amazing. And so go way back there when you were a young man. What motivated you to run for city council?
So many things I saw were not getting done. I saw a lot of stuff going on then, just like now. Too many people were worried about party affiliation and not enough time spent and worried about the people and trying to take care of making a better place for people to live.
So back at that time, or what I think I hear you saying, there was probably too many D's and R's at that time also, and we need to just worry about getting issues solved. We need to serve the public, and let's lay down all these differences of opinions between the Democrats and Republicans. And that's where we are today, you know. So it was that way back then too.
Oh yeah, I kind of come up with a phrase back then. I said there was too many D's and R's and not enough WV's and US's.
Yeah.
And we very much were the same then that we are now, and that's why I got involved. And I did learn one thing down through the time, and that's government moves very, very slow.
Yeah, the wheels of government are extremely slow. Why did you choose Montgomery as your home? Did you grow up here, or how'd you get here?
No, sir, I graduated from DuPont High School, but I started school at West Virginia Tech. And back then, West Virginia Tech was a very thriving school institution. A lot of stuff going on. I got a job at the local Kroger store, and as I said, I married a local girl, and the rest is history.
And so many times, it's just love of where you are. I know as mayor of Montgomery, I love this community. I'm an import too. I was born in Roane County, West Virginia, and spent a lot of time in Bell, Cabin Creek area, and married a Montgomery girl, and here I am. The rest is history, as you very well said. Over the years, Fred, what changes have you seen? I mean, back in the 70s, coal was booming, as you alluded to. Tech was here. There was businesses. You couldn't find a parking spot in Montgomery. And I wasn't here, but I've heard you say that the streets were packed on both sides with cars. Parking was a problem back then. So what changes have you seen from the coal boom days to the days of present, and just what major changes have you seen happen over those 40 years?
There have been many changes. Probably the biggest, and a lot of people nowadays don't understand, back in the days when we had the federal government giving us money, which does not occur today.
Right.
We have had to be a lot more frugal with with our money. We've had to pay a lot more attention to what we were doing. And as I said, we still got a problem with D's and R's and not WB's. So, you know, it's something that you always have to work on and you have to be mindful of. But I can see many, many places today that we have done some good things, but I've also have to admit there's some things haven't turned out quite so well.
Do you remember parking problems?
Oh yeah. I can remember when I was a student that I had more parking tickets than you could shake a stick at because I was working and going to school, and it was just, and it wasn't just me, it was everyone.
What about coal, Fred? Coal miners, I'm sure, came straight out of the mines, walked the streets, went to the stores. They had to pick up lunch meat and do those type of things. Did you, back in those days, did you have a lot of friends that worked in the mines?
Oh yeah, as you said, a lot of, it was just, things were going everywhere. Marathon, which was a machine shop, they were running wide open. Alloy plant was running as much as they could. And there were guys that were working in the mines during the day, and at night they had little shops where they were repairing coal trucks. It was just a very, very busy time, and it was a good time that you can look back on.
And you had alluded a little earlier to the schools, Tech. Montgomery had their own high school. And did they have their own middle school also and grade school? I get that part confused.
Oh yeah, as most people know now, we've got Valley Elementary and middle school, and at one point in time, yes, and my wife was a graduate of Montgomery High School. But yes, Montgomery had grade school, middle school, and back then we were junior highs instead of middle schools.
That's right.
And a high school. So, and I went to school down the road just a little bit at DuPont High School. So back as I tell my grandkids, when I was a kid, we didn't have to go out of the county to play football because I don't remember exactly, but there were many, many high schools, enough to fill a full football schedule. So something you don't see today.
So another thing that I so remember here was the city swimming pool. I hear from people that grew up here that Montgomery Pool was just a center of activity. It was a center for the kids. It was packed. Can you remember the good days of the pool and maybe some of the maintenance items that you had back in the day? I think you were involved in an expansion at one time, or at least you was on council during that expansion. So could you talk and remind the viewers just a little bit about the Montgomery Pool?
As you said, Montgomery Pool, if you were a teenager in your early 20s back then, Montgomery Pool was a place to be.
Yeah.
And back then it was not the only thing like Spartan Hall and Smithers. It was very active. And over a period of time, the pool did the same thing for us that many other small towns. It just was very, very hard to keep up in repair. And eventually we hit a point where we were losing about $8,000 worth of water per month. And that's a lot of water. Plus we were showing chlorine readings in the creek right next door to it. So with the idea in mind of we had possibly a big sinkhole, and there was no way, we tried many times to try to figure out what was going on. And eventually the council decided rather than take a chance on having a sinkhole and several people in the pool disappearing, which is certainly not something you want, we decided to shut the pool down, and we never could come up with a better solution. And as I said, it's just like any other little town or most of the other little towns. We just eventually ended up closing it down. And it's not something that anyone ever wanted to do, but there really wasn't a choice no matter.
Yeah, it was a real financial challenge. And again, when safety became apparent that we didn't know if it was hollow underneath, it was time. We didn't want we didn't want the bottom of that pool caving in with people in it and water. So we've talked a little bit about some of the good years, and what about some of the bad years in Montgomery? I know when coal mines closed, that had a huge impact. Tech left, it's a huge impact. And there's probably some other things that you know that I don't, that may have had a negative impact on Montgomery. And can you think of anything specific that had a major impact on the government of the city of Montgomery?
I don't know that there's any one specific thing that we could put our foot on, but just like any place else, eventually things change. And you must change in order to meet the new challenges, because anytime you change, there are new challenges. And as time went on, we seen the whole United States kind of push away from coal, which definitely was a very hurtful thing for us. When we saw West Virginia Tech move to Beckley, that was a real kick in the backside. It's just one of those things that things change, and you have got to meet the new challenges. You've got to look at what's coming.
Well, and that was kind of what I wanted to allude to, was the exodus of tech. That was, according to the Deskins report from West Virginia University, that was a kick in the backside of about $15.2 million a year to the local economy here. And so I don't think anyone can deny that that was probably one of the bigger hits. It's right up there with coal. West Virginia University, and that school was here for 125 years. A lot of local people had money in that. So I think you've summed it up very well, Fred. The things that have been good for Montgomery, some of our problems, but what do you see in the future? What do you hope to see in the future?
Well, anyone can look around town now and you can see we have eliminated a considerable amount of old dilapidated buildings. Some were not so much dilapidated, but it was time for them to go also. So, there are many things changed. Our Amtrak station's been updated. We've got new lighting down most of Front Street. It's just, as I said, things change and you've got to change. And as I said, government moves slow. So you've got to change, but you do have to move.
Well, Fred, I want to thank you for sharing a little bit of time with us and give the public a perspective from somebody that has sat in those hot seats down there for over 40 years. And we appreciate everything you do. And is there any last thoughts you'd like to share with the public or the people that are watching the show?
I guess the thing I would like to say is I've been here for quite some time, and I am here because I want to be here. As I said, my wife graduated from here, and as we dated, I got to know a tremendous amount of the people that she went to school with. Matter of fact, I probably knew more people than she did. It's a good place. And sure, we have our problems just like any place else. But as I said, I could live just about anywhere I want to, but I'm here because this is where I want to be.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you for all your years of service.
Thank you, Mayor.
Stay tuned for the second half of Montgomery Today with Montgomery General Hospital. We'll be right back.
Montgomery General Hospital is proud to welcome pediatric providers Dr. Bradley Marple and physician assistant Shay Criswell. At Montgomery Pediatrics, providing world-class health care for your little ones is our goal. And keeping your family safe during these times is of the highest priority. New patients are being welcomed, and the entire pediatrics team invites you to come in and let us meet your children's needs. Experience the difference at Montgomery General Pediatrics.
Welcome back to Montgomery Today with Montgomery General Hospital. And we're being joined here for the second half of the program with Abby, who works in physical therapy at Montgomery General Hospital. So, Abby, if you would, introduce yourself to the viewers and give us a little bit about your background.
Well, my name is Abhijit Banerjee. I'm an occupational therapist, and I'm the clinical director of Montgomery General Hospital's physical therapy department. We are a team of about 10 people. We have a full staff of physical therapists, occupational therapist, and we'll be soon having full-time speech therapy in inpatient and outpatient settings. We provide rehab in the inpatient parts of the hospital, which is acute care, the nursing home, and there's the extended care unit. And we also provide outpatient therapy, which is Monday to Friday, excluding the holidays.
So, what does PT do?
Well, physical therapy, it's a wellness program which uses exercises, physical modalities like heat, ice, electricity. Sometimes there's a thing called ultrasound. It does all that to provide treatment without invasive means into the body, and also strengthening exercises. There's all these factors that we put it all in, and we provide whenever there is any issues with upper body, lower body. Sometimes you have strokes, cardiac conditions, any orthopedic conditions like arthritis, back pain. So we work on all that. That's on the physical therapy.
Okay. Is it, and I'm assuming to receive that treatment, you have to have doctor's orders?
Yes. At present, we have to have doctor's order. It can come from a doctor or a nurse practitioner, a chiropractor, a podiatrist. All these professionals can order for physical therapy and occupational therapy. And
So if I fall in my backyard
Okay.
And I hurt my arm,
okay,
it's stiff as a board,
okay,
to get, and that would be a reason to use physical therapy
Definitely.
to work that stiffness out. So I would need to see a medical professional, a doctor, nurse
Yes.
practitioner,
Yeah.
to come in, and they would recommend me for physical therapy, and we're good to go.
Yeah, your family doctor can just write the order, and then it can be faxed to our department, or they can email it to us. And once we get the order and we get the approval from the insurance, we'll start with the therapy.
So what does occupational therapy do?
Occupational therapy, it's a lot of things are similar, but the differences are there's a big component of emphasizing things that you can do at home, or the things that you do in your regular life, like getting dressed, bathing, grooming, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair. Those things require movement, so we kind of encourage that to increase the function. Okay, and then sometimes some people, let's say there's a carpenter, or there's somebody who works in like an office setting. We try to incorporate those into the treatment plan, in addition to the exercises and modalities that physical therapy uses. There's also another aspect, like a lot of times the population that we have here, let's say somebody got sick within the hospital, got weak, and then they came to the hospital, and what we do at that time is we train them to function back at home, like again, getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, maybe making a small meal. So we have all that set up, and that's what occupational therapy does. On that factor, we actually have a little apartment where we have like a bed, there's a bedroom, there's a kitchen, there's a living room. So we practice all that, getting up and down steps, and this is the little addition to what physical therapy does. But we all work together. Physical therapy and occupational therapy works together to get a complete rehab.
Speech therapy also is something that you do. Could you expand and just give us a little bit about how that works? I have never been exposed to a speech therapist, and what would be the causes to need those services?
Okay, speech is a little bit more specialized. So normally what happens is sometimes dementia could be a cause, sometimes stroke could be a cause, or Parkinson's. This kind of neurological issues will cause the person to not be able to speak or not being able to swallow. Like they'll try to drink something or eat something and then they'll choke, and the food, instead of going into the stomach through the esophagus, will go into the lungs, and then you get pneumonia and all that thing. So that's where speech comes in. They work on strengthening the muscles inside the mouth, the facial, orofacial muscles, and they have specific exercises, specific things that they'll show the patients to do, and that's one part. The other part is sometimes children will have speech problems. Sometimes with strokes, you'll have speech problem, speech and expression. Like it's not just talking. Sometimes understanding becomes a problem, and they'll work on that. And they'll also work a little bit on the cognitive part. Like sometimes you'll have people with dementia or a little bit of getting dementia, and there are specific exercises they do. Actually, OT also does some bits of it, and that's where we kind of overlap on each other, speech and OT. But speech is, especially with swallowing and all that, it's mainly speech. I mean, it's
Is all of these treatments done on the second floor or third floor of the hospital? I'm not sure exactly where you're located.
okay. We are located on our outpatient department, and all the people, we are located in the second floor. And for the inpatients, depending on how the patient is, we go to the rooms, and we may see in them. There can be acute care or second floor patients. Some of them are long term, some of them are there for rehab to go home. So we do that. Some of them we like to bring them down to our department because we've got more equipments there, and that apartment I was talking about. So
Right.
we can use them over there.
Okay.
And sometimes we also utilize like the stairwells, or sometimes before people are going home, we encourage them to bring their own cars, or to make sure that they can get into their vehicle, get out of it, weather permitting, of course.
Right.
Sometimes we use the parking garage and do all that.
So do you provide services to the whole hospital? I mean,
Yes.
to any of the patients there if they need your services?
We provide all the services in the outpatient and inpatient, all three services, PT, OT, and speech.
Long-term care, the nursing home.
Long-term care, we have a separate crew, and we kind of go in and out, and the crew there, and recently with all this infection control, with the COVID coming in, we try to make sure that we are compartmentalized. We do integrate, but we try to keep it because of the infection control requirements. So there's a crew there, and sometimes the evaluations and stuff, we move around and do it.
So the nursing home is in a separate building, a separate facility. Do you also go to their rooms, or
Ye-
do you bring them over into the?
So in the
main
nursing home, there's a small area where we bring in if the patient is able to, and if there's no restrictions infection-wise.
hospital? Right.
And then we go into the rooms and do it. We prefer to do it in our department because you really get better rehab, and we really emphasized on that. And then even for the patient, the inpatients, they like to see other people doing it. Sometimes when you're exercising at home by yourself, you really don't do as well.
Right.
When you go to the gym, you do better. The same thing applies even in physical therapy. You see somebody else doing, and if you I see that all the time. People encourage each other, and somebody does good, and then somebody says, "Hey, you did good."
For the outpatient patients or people that need your services that are watching the program, let's recap one more time about what their process is to get services from the physical therapy department, speech therapy, or whatever. If you would, just touch again, and I know you did at the outset, but touch again on what process a person that's sitting out there at home and they're having some pain, or what's their process to secure your services?
Well, if they're home and they had some injury, usually they'll go to the doctor or the ER or somewhere. We can get referred from all those sources. If they went to a surgeon and had some kind of surgery, the surgeon can refer it to us, and so once they refer it to us, we get the order, and we get it approval from the insurance, and we get it scheduled maybe 1 or 2 days later. We try to do it as soon as possible, and then they come and register, and then we start seeing. The first time they have to register at the main registration department, and then after that they can just come into our department and we start seeing them.
Do you have any suggestions for people that might be at home that's having a little bit of pain, shoulder pain or something? Is there any suggestions that they could do on their own to maybe try to alleviate a little bit of that pain until they could get in to see you?
Yes. The most common thing that we are seeing in this area is there'll be a lot of back pain, arthritic pain, falls and all. They'll usually come to us. But if they have back pain or arthritic pain, the best thing is doing movement. Stretching before any exercises. You wake up in the morning, you do some very simple stretches, just to make sure that your muscles are not tight or things like that. And then very gentle exercises. Sometimes we feel like heavy weights is good, but when you more number of repetitions and less weight, and you'll get better results.
Yeah.
And you just stretch. Before you exercise, you always stretch. Anytime you have a sudden pain coming in, new onset like a fall or something, it's better to put ice than heat. Even though heat feels better, ice heals it quickly. If you have long-standing pain, arthritic pain, ice feels good. Heat feels good.
Heat. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions. Do you think if we could work out a plan, could Montgomery General Hospital use the Bicey Center pool for physical therapy of any type?
Yes, it'll be a big benefit to the local community, because a lot of exercises, when they're done on land, especially if you're arthritic or things like that, the weight hurts you more. You can do this almost similar exercises in the pool, and your body is lighter, and you get as much resistance from the water, and you get just as much strengthening, but you don't get hurt as much. So that'll be a godsend if we can get it started. I remember, like, it has a lift to put somebody in. It has got stairs to walk inside. I mean, it's equipped for really good rehab. And I mean, when we used it, we had really wonderful results. People who have not walked in land, they started walking again. So it's be a great addition.
We're still working on that project, and we'll continue to do so. And I think it would be a big benefit to the physical therapy department and to the patients. Do you think that, one last question?
Okay.
Do you think that Montgomery General will ever offer cardio rehab again?
We have heard that it's on the work. There's people from CMC came in. They looked at our facilities, and we have adequate facility in our department and around. I would really like to. We are all interested in participating in.
I had open heart surgery at one time, and I had to go to Charleston for every 2 or 3 times a week, and it would be wonderful to have that. And I'm so glad to hear that we might have that in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to say or bring up about the physical therapy department?
I would like to say that we are soon going to have full-time speech. So people who might need outpatient speech, like it's kind of hard to get outpatient speech because and people with strokes and things, those are the ones who really need it. Head injury, like I don't want anybody to have head injury, but things happen. So we are going to start that program really soon, and please.
Well, Avi, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your valuable time, and I know the viewers are just going to enjoy the information you provided, especially those that are at home and can't get to the hospital. There's some things they can do to help their pain, and thank you so much for your time and coming in and sharing all your information with us.
Thank you.
We're going to take another break. We'll be right back with another segment of Montgomery Today. Stay tuned.
Montgomery General Hospital is proud to welcome pediatric providers Dr. Bradley Marple and physician assistant Shay Criswell. At Montgomery Pediatrics, providing world-class health care for your little ones is our goal, and keeping your family safe during these times is of the highest priority. New patients are being welcomed, and the entire pediatrics team invites you to come in and let us meet your children's needs. Experience the difference at Montgomery General Pediatrics.
Welcome back to Montgomery Today with Montgomery General Hospital, and we're so excited to have with us the CEO of Montgomery General Hospital, Debbie Hill. Welcome, Debbie.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, and I hope everybody out there and watching us had a good New Year.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a cold Christmas, but the New Year wasn't too bad.
That's
so,
true.
do you have some things you can share with us that Montgomery General's doing? Some things we haven't heard of, maybe some things we have, and just remind us again of the exciting things going on at Montgomery General.
Yeah, we've been very busy, and I like to keep the public updated. You know, some projects don't follow the timeline we think they should, but anyway, probably one of the first things I want to make sure everybody's aware of, because this is so important, is we do have a blood drive scheduled. We have a blood drive scheduled for January the 27th from 9 to 2. So you can go on the American Red Cross's site. It's very easy to register and pick your time, but if that makes you uncomfortable, if you will just call Montgomery Rehab and Nursing, which is 442-2469, and they will have somebody call you back to set up an appointment. But I think we have about 40 slots that were originally given to us, and so far we're probably not a third of the way there. So we really need folks. You know, you save lives all over the country when you give blood. So please try to schedule. It takes less than an hour, and you're going to save somebody's life. So please register and come and give blood with us on the 27th of January from 9 to 2. The event will actually be held in the hospital building on the second floor in one of our conference rooms, but Montgomery Rehab and Nursing is taking care of the registration with the American Red Cross. So hope to...
That's important.
That is very important.
There was a blood donor that saved my life. When I had open heart surgery, I had to have a little bit of blood, and that's very important. Do you have to know your blood type before you get there, or do they type it once you're there?
Usually they ask you what it is. But, you know, Mayor, like you, I was one of those people, I don't have time to give blood. I don't
Right.
have time. And when I had my 7th child, if it hadn't been for a blood donor, my children would have been raised by somebody else, because I would not have been here.
Right.
So you realize when it happens to you how important it is.
Yeah, it's very important, and if you have any opportunity, time to stop by the hospital and give blood, that's a great cause.
Yeah. So a couple updates on our providers. We told you a few months ago that we were recruiting an orthopedic surgeon. We are still doing that. Unfortunately, the process of license certification, insurance verification takes forever. So we are probably talking February to March. You're starting to see ads. If you drive by our hospital, you'll see his face actually on the sign. We're going to have a banner up in town soon. His name is Dr. Reddy. He has been providing orthopedic surgery over in Kentucky for several years, but lives in Charleston. His wife is actually one of our radiologists who works out of Charleston. He's a very, very nice man who does hips, knees, fractures, replacements. We're going to have all that available. So right now it just says coming soon. So when we have a definite date, we'll put that out there, but he is delightful. He is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He and Abby are actually friends. You would find their mannerisms very similar. We're also recruiting a couple more primary care physicians. We need another part-time person in our pediatric clinic because they're very busy, and someone in our Suite 301, our family practice clinic, because we still want to get to at least 5 nights a week, if not longer, going to 8 p.m. That has worked well. We'd like to see it grow, those evening hours grow with walk-ins or people making appointments after work, because right now we're at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The holidays, we did have to do some changes in schedules. Also, we are trying to grow our sleep program. Many of you have had to have sleep studies in your lives because you've got different things going on. Sleep apnea is very serious. It's a silent killer. Sometimes people don't realize they have it, and they end up with heart damage and high blood pressure and other issues because you're not sleeping at night. You may feel like you're asleep, but you're not going into a deep sleep, and your body's not getting the rest. You may find yourself falling asleep during the day. Loud snoring is often a symptom of that. We do sleep studies. We even have the ability to do home sleep studies now. So you don't actually have to come in and lay in the hospital where it seems awkward, even though the room's all set up like a home room, more like a hotel room. But we have home studies that you could be hooked up and have it done at home, and then our physician reads the responses. So,
And I would like to say there, Debbie, I went to the sleep therapy there, and the CPAP machines and the things that they gave me it's life changing.
it's life-saving, yes.
It gives you energy in the day, and if you miss that, you feel a little run down the next day, or it may take 2 days to catch up with you. But if you miss that therapy, you can feel the difference.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that anyone that has problems with sleep or tiredness, I mean, that's kind of tells you that something's wrong. That's excellent. That's excellent.
You know, a lot of people don't do it. They'll have the study. They'll be told you need the machine, but then, oh, that doesn't feel right. It's uncomfortable. It's like anything else in our life that's a little uncomfortable. You do it for a few days and realize the importance and how much better you feel.
Exactly.
Then that minor inconvenience of that device on your face is okay.
And plus now, what's amazing is the machines hook up to your phone, and they will send you a text if you miss your therapy, which is great because there's just something in the back of your mind that says, I failed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I need to do that tonight, but that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're still doing that.
Also, we're going to start some marketing campaigns. You know, we provide nuclear medicine. A lot of folks don't realize we provide nuclear medicine. Now, that's nothing you would come in and say, oh, I want a nuclear test. You're usually a cardiologist or your internal medicine doctor is going to suggest that. But what they don't realize is if they're at a physician in Bridgeport or Morgantown or Charleston and the doctor suggests that, hey, I can have that done in Montgomery. I don't need to drive all the way back there. We have an excellent brand new equipment there. So, and sometimes you have to push the out-of-town providers a little bit. Say, no, I really don't want to drive back. I'd like to have that done in Montgomery, and then they'll send you the results. So we do nuclear medicine, brand new x-ray room we just finished up last month. It's operational, and we're trying to grow our mammography program. Again, life-saving, diagnostic, easy procedure. We want to grow that program. From a security perspective, if you come in through our basement around our emergency room, you're going to notice a new set of doors that you can't just get through. That was a security measure. During the evening hours, we don't want strangers from wherever wandering around the hospital, so you can still get to the ER, obviously, but then if there's a reason you need to be, maybe your loved one's on 3rd floor and they're very ill and you need to go see them, staff has to let you in. So that's a security measure. It's not meant to be an inconvenience, but our main goal is to protect our staff and our patients. Parking, we want to make sure that folks realize, because I don't see a lot of use of it, we wiped out all of the reserved parking. When you come into the parking building, the wall closest to the hospital entrance used to be all reserved for administration or physicians. We moved all of us out of there. Those signs all say patient parking. So you don't have to park on the street, and the mayor and I have talked about meters and things like that anyway, but if it's raining and you're trying to get out of your car and fumble with your umbrella, you don't have to do that. You can park right there along that wall, walk in the hospital. It's marked for patient parking now. And that also means visitors as well. You don't actually have to be registered to go in the hospital. If you're on second or third floor visiting your mom or whatever, you can use that. We're very excited that we have 67 Bridge Valley nursing students coming to start their clinicals with us later this month. That's huge.
Wow, that's
we
huge.
haven't had students except for a couple of the career centers that sent some LPN students. We haven't had RN students since Tech left Montgomery. So thank you to Bridge Valley. Krista Wiseman primarily has been a proponent, and Kent, that they're sending students back. We're going to run them through our acute care unit, our OR, ER, the long-term care unit. So we want these people, when they finish their schooling, to come back and work for us.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting for
That's
us.
big.
And just to follow up real quickly on the cardiac and pulmonary rehab discussion, we do intend on going down that path. We actually started down that path in the fall and then had some staffing changes come up. So we are working through that and I would hope it's this year to at least get pulmonary started, then cardiac to follow that. It's mainly a staffing issue right now. Healthcare institutions across the country are struggling to get staff. You know, we're reaching out to the schools, the colleges, and places like that are trying hard to get more students in. But, you know, there's accreditation issues and that goes with that. But once we get our staffing where we need it to be to start these new programs, a few pieces of equipment we would have to have and some training. But CMC and Cabin Creek Primary Care has been very helpful because they see the need for people in the Upper Kanawha Valley to be able to get this service in Montgomery. So that's one of our focuses, and we've just got a lot going on.
You have a lot going on.
Yes.
And we can't say thank you loud enough to Montgomery General Hospital.
Well, we want to be a partner. We want to see this community thrive.
And I've always said, you know, I've said this to you many times, I can't wait till we have parking problems in Montgomery. I think we're there, especially around the hospital. The other day I was noticing, you know, we probably need some more handicap parking down the street there somewhere around close to the front door. Maybe that's something we'll work on in the near future. But Debbie, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your vast knowledge of the healthcare system and what Montgomery General Hospital is doing. So that'll wrap us up today with Montgomery Today with Montgomery General Hospital. Tune in next week for another version of Montgomery Today. Have a great day.